Have you ever had that quiet, nagging sensation that you've just kind of put your deepest dreams on hold? Well, welcome to our explainer on the source material known as the silent battle nobody sees. This is a really profound look into the inner world of our unfulfilled ambitions, and it explores the subtle ways we all slowly drift away from what we truly want. Settling for a routine that leaves us looking around and wondering, where did that bright vision actually go? Right off the bat, our source poses a heavy, honestly almost taboo question. Why do some people fail despite working incredibly hard? It completely validates a hidden struggle that so many of us carry around every day. Because we're all taught that if you just put your head down and grind, you get the prize, right? But what happens when you do exactly that and the prize just never comes? So let's unpack the reality behind this. Section 1, the illusion of success. Let's look at the outside versus the reality. On one side, we have the story everyone knows. That's the popular myth that successful people are just innately brave, overflowing with confidence, and obviously blessed with incredible luck. But on the other side, that's the story nobody witnesses. We don't see the countless completely ordinary days those same people spent learning, failing, doubting themselves, and yet still actively choosing to keep going. There are always two sides to this narrative. We've all been there, right? You read a great motivational quote, and suddenly you feel totally invincible for like 5 minutes. But the difficult part actually begins after that inspiration fades. It begins when nobody is watching you, when your progress feels painfully slow, and when staring at a blank screen yields absolutely nothing. That is where the real test hits you. Which brings us to section 2, the hard work paradox. Sometimes effort just isn't enough. You see countless passionate people making massive sacrifices. They work tirelessly, they stay deeply committed to their dreams, and yet they never actually achieve the success they pictured. And that forces us to ask a really painful question. Why does one person succeed while another falls short? It's an incredibly frustrating, even heartbreaking reality to reflect on. Now, if you're sitting there right now thinking, hey, I worked hard too. Why didn't it work out for me? Was it literally just bad luck? I want you to pause for a moment before blaming luck. It is super frustrating to feel derailed, absolutely. But just blaming the universe ultimately strips you of your own agency. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Both the people who fail and the people who succeed have hard work in common. Both groups work their tails off. What actually separates them is decisions and direction. Our lives aren't just shaped by the sweat on our brow. They're shaped by the choices we make along the way. Literally every single decision, big or small, has the power to shift your trajectory. Moving on to section 3, the real turning points. Navigating life's unexpected detours. Success actually requires something very specific, which the text calls a practical vision. This isn't about daydreaming of a massive mansion or a flawless, effortless career. It's having a realistic view of the future that actually guides your Tuesday morning decisions. Success is heavily influenced by the opportunities we manage to recognize and the choices we make when life inevitably forces us to change our direction. The author shares this great story of being 21, working as an intern, and dreaming of being a TV journalist. It was a super clear, youthful vision. But then, emotional attachments, real-world responsibilities, and unexpected life events step in. And the thing is, we don't usually give up in one big dramatic moment. Instead, we postpone. We say, I'll do it after this exam. And then, when my job is stable, or when the baby grows up. It is a slow, quiet drift away from our true selves. It's the silent battle nobody sees. Section 4, the danger of settling and how we end up losing our identity. So, let's walk through this slippery slope together. It always starts with a simple fear. What if I fail? What if I'm just not capable? That fear pushes you toward choosing a slightly easier path for a bit of temporary comfort. But over time, that comfort completely erodes your self-belief. You stop chasing your own dreams, until eventually you find yourself stuck on the sidelines, applauding others who are out there living your dreams, while you struggle to accept an ordinary life you never actually wanted. And to make ourselves feel better about standing on those sidelines, we invent excuses. We look at the people we're applauding and convince ourselves, well, they were just different from me, or they were way more talented, or they were just luckier. We use these completely false justifications to excuse our own postponed dreams, trying to convince ourselves that the people who succeeded simply had innate advantages that we somehow lacked. But here is the tough love. By making those excuses, you become the only person who weakens your own potential. The very second you stop believing your dream is possible, you stop taking the action required to make it real. You're effectively closing the door on yourself. Section 5. Writing your next chapter. It's time to take back control. So I have to ask you, are you going to spend the rest of your life asking why you stopped chasing your dreams? Why you quit? Life is undeniably unpredictable, and yes, things happen that are completely out of our control. But that absolutely does not mean the rest of your story is already written for you. There's this powerful line from the source material. Let your comeback be so unexpected that one day people wonder, how did this happen? And the answer they'll eventually figure out is incredibly simple. You just decided to begin again. You decided to surprise yourself. The invitation here is to choose your dream once more, but this time, let your decisions be guided by purpose, not by fear. When purpose actually drives your practical vision, that paralyzing fear of failing or not being capable enough finally starts to lose its grip on your daily choices. And remember, actually, scratch the idea that starting over means executing some massive, overwhelming overhaul of your entire life by tomorrow morning. It doesn't. A single act of courage is enough to begin an entirely different chapter. It just takes one brave decision, one small step in a new direction to completely change your trajectory. As we wrap up our explainer today, I really want you to keep this final thought in mind. Your story is never defined by the chapter where you paused. It is defined by the chapter where you decided to continue. So, are you going to keep rereading the chapter where you stopped? Or are you ready to write this sentence that starts your continuation?